Sean Diddy Combs has been charged with multiple counts of sex trafficking and racketeering. Prosecutors said he hosted, quote, freak offs with women and sex workers for more than a decade. Tyrone Bowman Live, welcome to the program, everybody. In a few moments, I will get down to the nitty gritty of this story. As you know, in New York City on yesterday, Sean Diddy Combs was arrested, and today the sealed indictment has been unsealed. So let me get ready to talk about exactly what's happening here. According to the Washington Post, Sean Diddy Combs was indicted by a federal grand jury on charges alleging he helped run a prostitution and sex trafficking enterprise, uh, marking a stemming turn for the one-time kingmaker in the world of hip hop. And so this is going to be an interesting story that I deal with and tear to pieces at the same time. So once again, prosecutors in New York, Southern District, said Combs repeatedly abused and assaulted women. They said he and his associates lured victims into the star's orbit and then forced or coerced them to engage in sexual activity with sex workers, according to the indictment that was filed last week and unsealed today, which is Tuesday. Combs arranged, directed, and recorded these often day-long events, which were called, quote, freak-offs, end quote, prosecutors said, adding that he would use the recordings as collateral to keep his victims silent. Now, you know what? That right there, that, my friends, is called blackmail. And believe it or not, it goes on every day in the world of Hollywood, whether people think so or not. During freak-offs, Combs distributed a variety of controlled substances to victims, in part to keep the victims obedient and compliant, prosecutors wrote. Combs was charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, and transporting for prostitution, according to court records. He had run his enterprise from around 2008 until the indictment was filed, prosecutors said. Combs, who is 54 years of age, was a 1990s superstar who brought his brand of flashy hip hop to the mainstream. He shepherded the careers of artists including the notorious R.I.G. or Biggie Smalls and Faith Evans through his record label Bad Boy Records. He turned his fame into a business enterprise selling clothing, alcohol, and cologne. Combs, who went by the names of Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, and later Diddy, faced numerous allegations and lawsuits that upended his career. Combs, who was arrested in New York this past Monday evening, has been the subject of several lawsuits in recent months with allegations including rape, sexual assault, physical abuse, and forced drugging. Some of the lawsuits allege that indictments occurred decades or incidents occurred decades ago. Now, the interesting thing is about these alleged allegations against Diddy, aka Mr. Combs, is that online you've seen a number of people who have been once associated with him. They've been on YouTube, TikTok, and so many other forms of media platforms. They've said all types of things about him. But the only thing, at most, it was speculative. They couldn't produce any receipts. They didn't have anything credible. But now, the federal government has the U.S. Attorney's Office, more importantly, decided to get involved, and they have been following him for quite some time. We're disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office. Mark Agnifilio, a lawyer for Combs, said in a statement Monday night after the arrest. He said Combs is an imperfect person, but he is not a criminal. Agnifilio didn't respond to a request for a comment Tuesday after the indictment was unsealed. Department of Homeland Security agents raided houses connected to Combs in Los Angeles and Miami in March as part of a human trafficking investigation, according to a federal official at the time. Authorities searching his home this year found 3 AR-15 rifles and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, prosecutors said. What? Let me read that again. Authorities searching his homes earlier this year found three AR-15 rifles, and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, prosecutors said. Combs' employees booked hotel rooms, stocked them for freak-offs, and helped him monitor victims, prosecutors said. If anyone threatened Combs' authority or reputation, he or his associates were known to commit acts of violence, including kidnapping and arson, prosecutors said. Prosecutors said during freak-offs, Combs would hit, kick, or drag victims by their hair. Sometimes it would be required to stay in hiding for several days to recover from these injuries. He tried to control his victims by promising career opportunities or threatening to withhold financial support, among other means, prosecutors said. Always remember this about anybody. People have a public side of them that we see every day, and they also have a private side. Oftentimes, people mistake what they see in public is who the person really is, until individuals, somebody just texted, we are at the calm before the storm. You know what? You might be right on that. This may be the calm before the storm. So victims believe they could not refuse Combs' demands without risking their financial or job security, or without repercussions in the form of physical or emotional abuse, prosecutors wrote. Manhattan U.S. District Attorney Damian Williams said his office intended to seek Combs' detention ahead of trial, with prosecutors arguing in a court filing that the rapper was a flight risk, posed a danger to the community, and could threaten the integrity of the case. During the course of the government's investigation, Combs repeatedly contacted witnesses and victims to feed them false narrative of events, according to the filing. In one instance, a Combs accomplice recorded a phone call during which the rapper repeatedly asked for a victim's support and friendship while trying to convince her that she willingly engaged in sex acts. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed the key to New York City. Williams said, adding that the investigation is ongoing. Today, he has been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. In Monday's statement, Agnifilio said Combs has been cooperative with the investigation and relocated to New York last week ahead of the anticipated charges. Prosecutors also highlighted Combs' vast wealth, saying he had access to dozens of bank accounts and, as of late last year, $1 million in cash. He also has his own plane that he uses for frequent travel. They said, in short, if the defendant wanted to flee, he has the money, manpower, and tools to do so quickly and without detection, the prosecutors said. The filing said that Combs' legal team has proposed a bail package that includes a $50 million bond and home detention in his Miami residence with electronic monitoring. And that's $50 million cash they're willing to put up. In November, Combs was sued by former girlfriend Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a singer. She accused him of physical and mental abuse, spanning roughly a decade. The two settled the following day, and 6 months later, CNN released a 2016 video of Combs shoving and kicking Ventura in a hotel hallway. Combs issued an apology, saying the footage caught him at rock bottom. You know what? That we all saw that video, and then he issued the apology sometime later on Instagram. So a week after he settled with Ventura, Combs was accused of drugging and sexually assaulting Jody Dickerson Neal in New York City in 1991. A second unnamed claimant alleged Combs forced her into having sex after a party and later physically attacked her at her home. In February, producer Rodney Lowell Ron Jones Jr. filed a suit accusing Combs of sexual harassment and other misconduct. Combs has denied the allegations made against him. In a December social media post, Combs said people were trying to destroy his reputation and that he did not do any of the awful things being alleged. Yeah, you did. You almost killed the woman in the hallway. The whole world saw it when it went down, and then you tried to justify it. And the only reason why you issued an apology because you knew that your behind was caught. And you knew that the gig was up. Everybody ain't telling the truth, but everybody ain't lying either. And that's my best English So some of these allegations may be false, and a lot of them uh, have some substantial credibility to them. So we'll find out how it unfolds. Combs's business took a hit after the allegations. A New York charter school Combs helped create broke ties with him, and he stepped aside from Revolt, a television network he co-founded, later selling his stake altogether. His stars seemed to be waning even before the allegations. Department store chain Macy's had begun phasing out his clothing line, Sean John, and he started a legal battle with liquor giant Diego last year. The company then cut ties with Combs in June 2023, ending his nearly 20-year run as the face of Ciroc Vodka. Combs and Diego settled the lawsuit in January. Wow, this is a heck of an article written from the Washington Post. And the writers who wrote the article are Alyssa Lumpak at alyssa.lupak at Washington Journal. Also Joseph Cassani, Stephen Rossolilio, and James Finelli. For now, never surrender, never quit.